What are you studying?
Studying law.
Is money important to you?
My biggest expense.
How much do you plan on making?
190 for total comp, 190K.
Are you using credit cards or how do you pay for school? How'd you get into UCI? Like, what's your biggest expense? Like, how much would they pay? What was your major?
Public health science.
And what was your
Computer
major?
science.
Okay.
Public health science. I want to help people. Maybe work in EMT later when I go back up to North Cal. But I'm not specifically sure. All I know is I want to help people. I was thinking maybe nursing one day, EMT, something like that.
And how much do they get paid?
Anywhere from like $17 to $22 an hour.
And what was your major again?
I'm a computer science major. I'm a third year. And I want to get into software engineering. Not completely sure like what aspect of it, but probably end up moving to like Silicon Valley, Bay Area, get a job. They normally pay around like 70, 80K.
Why'd you choose that route?
Yeah, so I believe that pretty much everything's going to be like taken over by technology one day. So if I know how to code the technology, then like I'll still have a job.
Like electric cars, we're gonna get by 2035 electric cars. Yeah.
But electric cars suck.
They do. No, I learned how to drive on one. That was awful. Well, I mean, I live on campus and it's like covered by aid. Yeah. So like it exists, but like I only have to worry about it like 3 times a year. So I don't really consider it like my biggest expense.
I'll be probably next year I have to worry about rent, but this year. Oh, grades. I had a 3.73.
Yeah, I think I had a 3.7, 3.8.
What are you studying?
I'm currently undeclared, but I do want to declare criminology, law, and society. So I have an uncle who's a trial lawyer, and I went to one of his trials over the summer, and it was super interesting to me. And so hopefully, my hope is that I'll go into some sort of trial law or maybe criminal defense. I'm a second year.
Like, how much would they pay?
I believe, I don't know what starting salary is, but I know that average can be around like 120 to maybe 200K on the higher side. Certainly the stability is a plus, but I think I just really enjoy the subject matter. Like I'm taking a upper division poli-sci class right now. It's art of trial law, so it's kind of like a public speaking class, and we also get to like practice doing opening statements, cross-examinations, and it's not really work to me. It's fun. So it's like when I do that homework, I'm like passing the time by. It's a hobby of mine.
What's your like biggest expense?
Housing, probably, like rent.
You in the dorms or no?
I'm in an apartment. Yeah, so I have a shared room with a roommate, so we're both in the same room. And it's still, I mean, it's like $800 a month. I just think a big way to have a good foot to start off with when you're done with college is just having a job in college. I mean, that's of course if you have the time, because I'm working right now, and I know it certainly helps me out a lot just with like, I want to invest too a little bit, like put money in my Roth IRA, start doing that stuff just so I could get started out on a good foot.
What did it take to get into UCI?
Good grades, for one. That was always something I really focused on in high school, just being focused on extracurriculars, and of course money too. These schools aren't cheap. Even if you're an in-state resident and you're paying that in-state tuition, I think it's still extremely expensive. Sadly, that's what it boils down to. If there were, I mean, I believe the financial aid system here is pretty good, so, but compared to some of the private schools, it's definitely one of the better financial aid systems out here.
Yeah, thank you, Mimi. I appreciate it. Have a good.
Yeah, thanks for asking me. Yeah.
And what's your major?
My major is computer science and engineering.
Okay.
Yeah.
What year are you?
I'm a senior, so my 4th year. Yeah.
Almost done.
Yeah, almost done.
Would you recommend that major?
Depends what you want to do. Personally, I like software more, so the right choice for that would just to go solely into CS. But if you have interest in both software and hardware, CSC is recommended, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. What made you choose that route, the CS?
Well, I was always really invested into technology and the scale at what technology can bring. and that's what initially brought me into CS. But I wasn't really sure what I enjoyed, whether it was software or hardware. That's why I chose CSE. But eventually, as I kept working, looking into jobs and whatnot, I realized software is what was for me. Yeah.
Okay. And when you graduate, like, what would be the starting pay?
So that depends. Like I mentioned, like software, the technology and the services you develop are at a very big scale. So I personally have a job right after college lined up from a return offer for my internship, which I believe is around 190 for total comp, 190K. But I think the average salary for software engineering is around 90K, I think. Not really sure on the averages, but that's from my experiences.
Why is yours so high? Is it like a particular field that's why it's higher?
Well, like I said, for software engineering, all the services you develop are scaled to millions of people. And for that reason, that's why I believe they pay so well. Yeah, so.
Schooling, like, is this more hard work or more smarts, or is it both?
It's a mix of both. Specifically for CS, I would say there's a lot of outside work. Obviously, GPA does matter, but for CS, I believe GPA doesn't matter as much. Mostly your experiences, your projects, your internships, how much you prep for interviews, and all that. Yeah.
So, what's like your highest expense right now?
My highest expense would probably just be rent.
Rent?
Yeah.
Are you on campus or off?
I am like 5 minutes from off campus. Yeah.
What would be rent?
I actually am lucky to live with 6 other people, so I personally pay around $800 a month.
Oh, that's not bad.
Without utilities. Yeah, so it's not bad considering we're in Irvine. But I believe that's my highest expense right now.
When you graduate, you'll be making what, 6 figures?
Yeah.
You excited or?
I am excited, but not much of the pay, just the work and what I'll be doing post college. Because obviously, it'll be nice to see the results of your work impacting people, and that's what I want to do, and that's what I'm more excited about. Yeah.
I think that's it. I appreciate it, man.
Of course,
Thank you so much again.
Of course.
Your major.
Mechanical engineering.
What made you choose that route?
I always liked design and science and physics, and I wanted to do architecture at first, but then I realized that engineering was probably the better route for me. It was a combination of money and opportunities. I think mechanical engineering is cool because you're not just limited to like one facet of engineering. You can kind of like explore different like engineering majors. You can learn a lot. It's like you learn a little bit about everything. So that was cool.
What year are you in?
I just started my 4th year. I'll graduate in 4th. Everything goes according to plan.
What's your plan after that, after you graduate?
Just go straight into industry. Yeah, start working. As I got into college, it opened up my eyes, and now I'm kind of more open to other things, but industry-wise, like design and manufacturing, and like motorsports. I hope to get into motorsports.
Like motorcycles?
Yeah,
Or
it's like both, but motorcycles a little bit more.
So how much would they pay for mechanical engineers?
So it kind of varies depending on industry. Like defense industry pays the most, I would say, and defense is like usually like 70 to like 90s. But yeah, that's just starting, and like every other industry is probably like you'll be around 70s, like high 60s and 70s. Yeah.
And that's straight out of college, you said?
Yeah. I'm not really interested in going into the defense industry. Yeah.
Why is that?
I want to make things that help people and not hurt them. It's a gray area. Like it's tricky because in defense you have the potential to help people, but then at what cost? You know, like everyone's perspective is a little bit different. So I'm not saying defense industry is bad, but just personally, I think I would do something else.
Yeah, it's like you're helping one side, but the other side.
Yeah, like they don't see it as helping.
Another argument could be like, it's going to be there anyway. They're going to do it anyway. Might as well. But no, I understand.
My biggest expense, probably rent.
You're
Yeah.
not on campus.
I don't live on campus. I used to, but now I live off campus, but in Irvine.
Like, how much is rent right now?
So I'm really lucky. Okay, so on campus it's like I think I was paying $1,200, and then once I moved, I know like my roommates like really well, and I have like a really good situation. So I'm paying $800 now a month. I had like pretty good grades in high school. Like my cumulative was like above 4.0, and I think just like doing extracurriculars, like I played basketball throughout high school, and I was just like very involved, and just like doing decently like academically. And then I think it's more like your essays that kind of they go off of. So I hope this can help some people.
Do you recommend this major, this industry?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, my sister graduated about a year ago from mechanical engineering also. Not from here, but I think mechanical engineering is cool. I think it kind of depends on your situation. If you're, like if you have the money, first of all, and if you have like the passion and the time to do it, I would say yeah. But if not, then you can always like just work a little bit harder to get to the same place.
What are you studying?
Microbiology, immunology.
What made you choose that route?
I really liked chemistry and biology in high school, and so I entered UCI as a biological sciences major, and then I specialized after taking a class that I really liked.
And what's your plan after college?
I'm most likely going to go for a PhD, so probably in microbiology.
And how much would they pay for that job?
I'm guessing probably somewhere around like 90,000. I'm thinking of going to CLS, so it's like a clinical laboratory scientist, so that's a bit higher paying, and it's more like definitely research based in like hospitals and stuff.
How'd you get into UCI? Like, what kind of grades did you get?
I had a 4 point, oh god, I haven't thought about this in a while, like a 4.2-ish in high school. I did like extra, I was on a sports team, and I did like some like service clubs, like community service clubs. A lot of the time I felt like it was really hard to like balance like hanging out with people versus like grades and stuff. So honestly, like just like take like the first few years of high school to figure out like how you work, you know, like if you're like a really good like cram studier, or like if you're really good at like planning out things in advance, or like what kind of student you are, and then like kind of figure out like what you want to do by like your third year college wise, and because like applications you have to apply by the beginning of your fourth year, and I feel like if you don't really know what you're doing, then it's really hard.
What are you studying?
Psychological science.
What made you choose that path?
I think, in high school I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to go to college, but then I took like a psychology course, and I absolutely like fell in love with how the brain works and how people interact with each other. So yeah, I currently am thinking about like going to graduate school, getting a master's, working towards like being maybe a clinical psychologist, but I'm not quite sure yet.
What would they pay for those type of jobs, like average?
I mean, it really depends on like obviously where you're living, but I think in California a starting position is around maybe 70 to 100.
It's pretty good. Yeah. Not bad. I mean, as long as you enjoy it, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And how do you pay for school? Like, do you have loans, debt? Do you have credit cards?
It's mostly loans. I've gotten a good deal of like financial aid as well, just grants and scholarships, but the rest of it is loans right now.
No credit cards?
No.
No? To build up credit maybe in the future?
I mean, I have a credit card, but not for
that.
I don't use it with that, yeah. It's a good idea though. I don't know why I've never thought of that.
Credit cards?
Yeah.
Just pay it off, at the end of the month?
Yeah.
Why not? That's what they're there for.
True.
What's your biggest expense right now?
My biggest expense, well, I'm very grateful that like, I live at home. My biggest expense besides like school is just probably like gas.
No rent, you said. That's good. Yeah, take advantage of that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Things like rent, insurance, stuff like that. My parents are taking care of. So.
Nice. Yeah. You're in UCI. What did it take to get in UCI? What kind of grades?
Well, I was in high school in Colorado. My weighted GPA was a 4.3. I totally forgot what that was unweighted. But, other than that, I was in the IB program. I don't know if you know what that is.
IB?
Yeah. It's like similar to like AP, but you have to take like a bunch of extra responsibilities and stuff, like in the last years of high school. But other than that, I didn't do any sports. I didn't do any like volunteering or anything like that. So, I kind of get shocked on my own that like I got into this school, but I'll take it,
Do you think it was mostly being smart or mostly hard work getting those grades, or is it both?
I think for me it was definitely like a little bit of both. I dedicated like all of my time to school, obviously since I didn't have anything else to do. But I think a part of that was also just like, I don't know, natural, I guess.
Just came easy to you?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. I think that's it. Thank you again.
Yeah,
Appreciate
of course.
it. That was great. You go to Chapman University?
Yes.
What's your major?
I'm a sociology major with an emphasis in leadership.
What year are you?
I'm a senior.
What do you plan on doing with that?
Honestly, I have no idea, which is kind of scary. I love being around people. I love talking to people. So something that just helps people and kind of is around people, networking. Essentially why I'm here, you meet so many people throughout the day, and sometimes it can be a little frustrating. Like the good people kind of make up for the frustration. Yeah, it's an amazing cause. We're solving hunger and poverty at the same time by spreading awareness, going to low-income communities, giving people cows, livestock, chickens to then generate food and income at the same time.
That's a great cause.
Thank you.
What's your biggest expense
My biggest expense
as a student? Yeah.
as a student, I would say paying for rent.
Rent?
Yeah.
You spend a lot on food or not much?
No, I like to cook at home a lot because I'm vegan. So honestly, mostly I cook at home a lot. But when I'm out here for long periods of time and I see cha, and I'm like, wow, like I want some crispy tofu. Like that sounds good to me.
Like, how much do you plan on making? Do you have a goal set, or you're just kind of going with it?
Well, my goal is anything above 75,000. Starting off, I do know I want to make way more than that to, provide for a family, because I want to be a mom and I want to be able to be the breadwinner and provide and not rely on anybody to provide for me.
What is your major?
I'm studying film and media studies and Asian American studies.
Okay, what year are you?
I'm a fourth year.
Fourth year, almost done. Okay, what do you plan on doing after?
I don't know, maybe like freelancing, and I'm like a creative storyteller, so I hope to probably go into the film industry and just pick up jobs.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Just bet on yourself. I like that. So what range, like pay-wise, would you get?
Oh, I don't know. It depends. So like if you work in like corporate, like film industries, you can make a good living, but it's like there's no work-life balance, and I want a work-life balance, and I eventually want to work or create my own company, like media company. So I don't know. I think in the beginning I probably won't make much because I'm starting. What
are your plans with starting? Do you have a TikTok or YouTube or anything?
Yeah, I'm on social media.
What is it?
Oh, okay. It's at Rehana Morita. My full name, REHANA MORITA.
Okay. What do you post so far?
I'm a writer, so I post a lot of my writing. I manage a student publication on campus. I also act, so if I'm in student short films, I'll post that too. So it's like a variety of things.
So you're a writer. Copywriting, that's a really good skill to have.
Yeah, right. I could go in any industry with writing. So I'm not. Yeah, I feel like I could find a job with writing, but like I want to just like have that flexibility to do like any type of creative medium.
What's your like biggest expense right now that you have?
I feel like I should be investing more on myself, so that because like me, like myself is like the company. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, not in like the influencer type, but like a lot of like the projects I work on, it's like I'm doing kind of like as a sole creator. So I should be investing more on like, I don't know, an iPad or something. Rent, it's so expensive to live in Irvine. Last year I lived in like an all communal space. I lived with like, it was like kind of like, it's in Oro Vista, student housing. Like you share literally everything. And it's like, I'm a big girl, I need my own room. So this year I splurged on that.
That sounds fun for a little bit, but then you need privacy. How much is rent now?
Oh my God, like $1,200?
Are you using credit cards or
I'm like,
student loans?
I worked full time this summer, so that's really what's like paying for everything.
Just savings?
No, yeah.
So do you think money is important?
Yes.
Obviously, right?
Yeah. And especially right now, it's like so expensive to live in like America.
So no credit cards?
No. I should get on that though. To like build credit, not to like splurge on things.
Build credit, buy a house later maybe?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see how it goes with California.
Yeah.
You're staying in California or New York?
I probably want to go to, I'm actually thinking of going to Atlanta because there's a big film industry out there and it's cheaper.
Good luck. I think
Thank you.
Do well, great things.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So we're at UCI. You said you're not a UCI student.
No.
You're from Sweden
Yes.
and a student in Sweden.
Yes.
What are you studying?
I'm studying law.
What made you choose that major?
I don't know actually. I think it was just like a way of viewing society that I was interested in, like understanding society from another angle that I haven't really studied earlier in school when I was younger. It was just like a way of thinking because law goes into everything, but yeah, it was interesting to me and I wanted to understand it. But also like I think it has to do with like the opportunities that comes with it as well, if I'm being completely honest.
You would be a lawyer, right?
Yeah, probably. You can be a lawyer, but you can also be like a judge or making statements about whether or not the law is going to be good for the society, basically.
What would the average pay?
Actually, I think like starting out, it's not very well. That depends, but I think like the 3,500 maybe
A month.
But then it like some people I think stay in that amount and like but some people make a lot of money, but it depends like if you're doing it with people, if you're working with people like representing like people who have gotten into trouble in any way, or you know, like those kinds of things where you're in court with private people, like not companies, that's usually paid less.
Oh, really?
And then if you're working with companies, like making sure their transactions are okay, then you'll make a lot of money. But I think I'm more into like the human aspect, like helping actual people, I think.
Like Johnny Depp, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. Probably my next client.
Yeah, hopefully. What's like your biggest expense right now?
I think food, to be honest. I don't have a car or anything, so because in that case I think it would be gas. But
No rent?
yeah, rent, of course, yeah. My rent though is super cheap right now because I'm living with my friend, but I'm moving all the time, so my next rent will probably be a lot higher. Well, in Sweden we get student loans, and the rents kind of match like the student loan, so that we can like go around with just the loan. So we get, because we pay more taxes in Sweden than you do in the US, so the taxes come back to us when we study, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So I think like a normal rent where I live, which is in the southern part of Sweden, is probably $550 a month, maybe.
But that's shocking to me that they charge more taxes in Sweden than
Yeah.
California.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I think a lot of people are shocked with how high the taxes are, but also we get a lot, like, I think that's good personally, because we get healthcare for free. Like, it's, you don't have to have insurances that covers everything, because if you need healthcare, you get it. And yeah, school is completely free. Like, we don't have any fees really, like, at all. You can just go to any university in Sweden.
So I can move to Sweden and get free.
Actually, I don't know if you can from the US, but in the EU, like in Europe, it's very easy to move around and get free, or at least cheap education.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good
So
for you
that's
guys.
really good.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that's it. Thank you so much.
you,
I
no
appreciate
problem.
it. What are you studying here?
I'm studying language science.
Okay, and what do you plan on doing with that after you graduate?
Right now, I'm aspiring to be a speech pathologist, so I help with like people who have disabilities. It's like mainly children, but it can also like the broader spectrum can also go into like elderly when they have like speech disabilities.
Nice. What made you go into that field?
My whole family's in the medical field, so I was already interested in like, you know, helping people in that sense. And it just fascinates me about like how we speak and everything. So I'm not super like the best at science, so I wanted to like balance it out with something else, and languages also piqued my interest, so that's why I wanted to go into it.
Nice. And how much would they pay for a job like that in speech?
It varies. I'm pretty sure like 86K. Pretty sure around there, ranging to like maybe 120K.
How do you pay for school? Do you have grants, scholarships? Do you have any debts?
Oh yeah, I have mostly taking out loans, and then I have like one scholarship, but it doesn't give a lot. So it's mostly from loans that my mom and I took out.
Nice. What about credit cards? Do you have any of those?
Yeah, do.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you pay that off? Do you pay the interest or at the end of the month?
You should pay it at the end of the month. I have like a planner, and I just write down to make sure I put it, because I'm trying to build my credit right now, because I'm only first year, so I'm trying to build it for the future. So, but it's mostly I like rely on my parents.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, take advantage. Is money important to you?
Yeah, when people say like, especially for jobs, like they say, I mean, it's good to feel like that it's not important, and like, I mean, you do have to be passionate about your occupation and career to like a certain extent, but I feel like money in the real world, like you need to have a job, like a stable job to support you, and like if you're gonna start a family and stuff like that.
I think you're right. Yeah, money is important. It's not the most, but very important. Well, thank you, Bella.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you so
Yeah, of
much. That was great.
Yeah, of course.
Are you studying?
Neurobio. Just 4 years. I mean, it's a regular undergrad degree. Yeah, I want to go to medical school. Well, medical school is 4 years, and then you have residency, and depending on what type of specialty I want to pursue, it's anywhere from 3 years to 7 years usually after medical school.
That's cool. What made you get into that field?
Well, the short story, because there's a long story. The short story is I started working at a nursing facility, so I knew I really enjoyed working with patients. but I wasn't sure exactly what path I wanted to pursue. I knew I was very interested in the mind and the brain, but I thought that bio wasn't a good fit for me until I took a bio class at UCI, and I fell in love with it. I started connecting the aspects of my job to what I was learning in the class, and it was really cool for me.
Once you graduate and go through medical school, like, what kind of job would you get?
Well, I mean, I want to work in a hospital, preferably like a teaching hospital, so I can also teach future doctors.
Oh, that's cool. That's interesting. And how much would they pay? Like, do you have a salary that you're aiming for, or you just kind of love it?
I haven't really thought about that.
Okay. But they pay pretty well.
I would assume so. It's an MD.
MD, makes sense. So you go to UCI. Do you have you go to dorms here and stuff?
No, I live kind of on campus, but it's an apartment.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What's your biggest expense?
Probably rent. My rent is pretty expensive.
Yeah, it's California.
Yeah.
How much is rent?
It's like pretty high, the 4 digits.
Okay, at least so 1,000 to 9,000.
Yeah, somewhere along those lines.
Okay.
A little bit above $1,000 I pay for rent. But I also live with 2 other people, and they all pay the same as me. So all in all, it's close to like $4,000 for the house. Yeah.
Oh, nice. And would you recommend your major to other people?
I mean, I would recommend to do whatever interests you, whatever makes you happy.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.